So, I was originally going to talk about primals in this video, but then patch 5.2 dropped a lot of lore bombs on us, and I couldn't not talk about them. I was considering doing a 5.2 lore video, looking at all the lore that was discussed during the new MSQ, but the script for that video was all over the place, and I had a few papers to write, and by the time I got around to finishing a half-decent summary, 5.21 dropped, so it really didn't feel all that relevant anymore. So instead, I decided to talk about the subject that was most impacted by the 5.2 story. Hello, I'm the Salt Exarch, and today we're talking about the Echo and the Blessing of Light. Now, I know I mentioned wanting to talk about the subject because of 5.2, but rest assured I will still be saving all my Shadowbringer spoiler stuff to the end of the video. So, if you haven't had the chance to play the latest expansion, or at the very least 5.2, you can still enjoy the first part of this video spoiler-free. With that out of the way, let's begin. The Echo and the Blessing of Light aren't really rocket science per se. I mean, we have them both essentially from the beginning of the game, and they both aid us in ways that are pretty clearly explained by the other characters. That being said, I still think it's a good idea to go over some basics. To start off with, you might have noticed that I've been referring to the Echo and the Blessing of Light as two separate things. And that's because they are. While both seem interchangeable, the Blessing of Light and the Echo have different functions and are independent of each other. The Blessing of Light is by far the more straightforward of the two, and the easier one to understand. The Blessing of Light is, well, a blessing bestowed upon us by Hydaelyn herself to give us the strength and power necessary to function as the Warrior of Light. The Blessing of Light is facilitated through 6 elemental crystals representing the 6 aspects of ether I discussed in my previous video. It's implied that by attuning to each of these crystals, the Blessing of Light grows stronger. It seems that the physical possession of at least one of these crystals is required for the Blessing of Light, as the Warrior of Light themselves first gains the Blessing of Light when they obtain the Crystal of Water, and the Warriors of Darkness, who were previously Warriors of Light back in their own world, each possess one of the other 5 elements. The Blessing of Light, in addition to boosting the Warrior of Light's strength, can also be used to protect the Warrior of Light, as seen when Hydaelyn shields them from Ultima. This, however, is more situational, since the Warrior of Light doesn't really have any direct control over it, and since Hydaelyn has to have the power to produce the shield. Since it hasn't really shown up again since A Realm Reborn, and since Daddy Midgardsormr had to shield us from Omega trying to destroy us during the Sigmascape raid tier, it's safe to assume that this one won't be coming back unless Hydaelyn regains some of her strength. The Echo is a little more complicated to explain, but since we see it literally all the time, I doubt I need to go into an in-depth explanation of how it works. The Echo is the ability to gain information by seeing into the souls of other people and gaining knowledge of their past experiences. This is not only not unique to the Warrior of Light, but actually quite a few people are said to possess it. Minfilia of the Scions possesses it naturally, along with a handful of other side characters, and in 1.0, it was stated that there was a special star shower, and anyone who witnessed it gained the Echo. Considering that would have happened in the night sky, I imagine there's probably quite a few people who bore witness to it. In addition to allowing you to gaze into people's pasts, the Echo also protects the user from being tempered by primals. We know it's the Echo that does this and not the Blessing of Light for 2 reasons. 1, other people with the Echo, even artificial Echoes, are immune to being tempered by primals, and 2, when Midgardsormr strips us of the Blessing of Light, we're still able to fight primals no problem without being tempered ourselves. Also, I just mentioned artificial Echoes. Well, yeah, they exist. See, the Garleans, being constantly thwarted by the Warrior of Light, basically got really frustrated and sought to copy the gift of the Echo for themselves, and they seem to have succeeded. Both Fordola Rem Lupus and later Xenos Galvis himself obtains this artificial Echo, though presumably either Xenos' version was perfected after Fordola received hers, as he seems to have much more control over it than Fordola, or he is much more naturally suited to having it. Either way, both Fordola and Xenos have a physical tell that they've been granted the artificial Echo. While it is active, one of their eyes glows with a weird red pattern. This is not the case with the Warrior of Light or anyone else with a natural Echo. Now, the artificial Echo, or the Resonant, particularly Xenos' use of it, is interesting because through it, he's able to take control of Shinryu. This is a pretty big deal for 2 reasons. The first was that Shinryu was a primal so powerful that, instead of having the Warrior of Light fight it like they've done with every other primal in the past, Papalymo thought it best to sacrifice himself just to give the Scions enough time to figure out a way to deal with it. And then the Scions resorted to awakening Omega just to fight the thing one-on-one. The second is that neither the Warrior of Light or anyone else with a natural Echo, for that matter, is seen using it to control a primal. With the potential exception of Yusali and Shiva, but that's its own can of worms that I'm not opening in today's video. Xenos implies that this is just a power that anyone with the Echo would have if they mastered it, but the fact that he's able to use it pretty much immediately after giving himself the Resonant seems to imply that either the Resonant is easier to learn and master, or that the Resonant is just fundamentally different from the natural Echo. And that's about it when it comes to the information we have on the Blessing of Light and the Echo pre-5.2. I know that seems surprising considering how prevalent and important both the powers are in terms of the Warrior of Light's abilities, but they're both pretty simple and easy to explain. Anything beyond this point is going to be spoilers for the 5.2 main story quests, so you have been warned. In 5.2's story, a bunch of stuff happens that gives us information on both the Blessing of Light and the Echo, but mostly the latter. In fact, anything about the Blessing of Light is mostly just inferred from the fact that the Warriors of Light from the first were not the first time an incredibly powerful person wielding the Echo appeared in Norvryn's history. We learn of the Archmage Tiuna, an ancient Ronkin hero who could smite entire armies with a single spell and fought in the name of peace. She was all but confirmed to have the Echo, and as mentioned before, her incredible strength implies that she also possessed the Blessing of Light. The inscriptions on her tomb also note that a star shower awakened her Echo abilities as well. Thesgro Y'shtola postulates that this is because the Echo is actually a power possessed by the Ancients, and that the fall of Amarant left such a lasting impact on their very souls that the similar sight of a star shower was enough to awaken these latent powers in the souls of those who witnessed it. Y'shtola does say that her claims were wild and she didn't have any evidence for them, but then later we see Elidibus using a similar vision of a star shower to awaken the Echo and numerous other people while masquerading as Ardbert. Considering he literally confirms Y'shtola's theory, I think it's safe to assume that this is accurate. Elidibus also mentions that the Ancients possessed a far greater power, and the Echo is only, well, a faint echo of what it used to be. This might explain how the Ascians are able to be so manipulative. More fine-tuned control of peering into people's pasts and seeing their hearts would help them tempt people and offer them exactly what they want to hear. After Elidibus gives everyone the Echo at the end of 5.2's MSQ, they all immediately hear Hydaelyn's voice and the iconic hear, feel, think line. This leads the Scions to speculate that Hydaelyn is basically always quote-unquote on broadcast and reaching out to everyone, and it is only those who have the Echo that can hear her. Elidibus himself says that Hydaelyn causes a star shower every time she's in need of new minions, which implies that she's ultimately the cause of the Echo's awakening in the Warrior of Light, but the Echo itself is not a power she gives or has any control over. This does raise some interesting questions regarding Hydaelyn's connection to it. We know that Hydaelyn speaks directly to those with the Echo, even if they don't possess the Blessing of Light, hence why both Minfilia and Ysale, two known Echo users, know the iconic hear, feel, think phrase. However, if the Echo is a latent ability the Ancients possess, then Hydaelyn's connection to those with the Echo might not be as unique or as strong as we initially thought. In fact, there was this theory that the Echo was Hydaelyn's version of tempering people, and prior to this new information, it was actually, in my opinion at least, a really strong theory. Hydaelyn is technically also a primal, and the Echo protects us from being tempered by other primals. And since being tempered by one primal also protects you from being tempered by another primal, it was a pretty prevalent theory. However, with the reveal that the Echo isn't a power granted by Hydaelyn herself, and moreover a latent power that all the Ancients used to have, even before Hydaelyn was summoned, I don't really see the Echo is Hydaelyn's version of tempering theory holding up anymore. We also know that the Blessing of Light isn't tempering either, since Midgard-Somer is able to strip us of the Blessing of Light completely, which would break the whole tempering is an irreversible process thing. This doesn't mean that Hydaelyn definitely hasn't tempered the Warrior of Light or other people with the Echo. It just means that the two gifts most associated with Hydaelyn herself likely aren't the result of tempering. Of course, we don't have a whole lot of information on that front, and anything else would be speculation. Elidibus does say that Hydaelyn awakens the Echo in people whenever she needs quote-unquote new minions, but seeing as this is coming from an Ascian, one who is implied to have at one point sacrificed himself to become the Heart of Zodiark no less, he is not exactly the most unbiased source when it comes to information about Hydaelyn, so I'd take his statement with a grain of salt. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have for today's video. This one might wind up running a little bit shorter than my other videos, but it is about two of the most basic topics in the lore, and like I said, I mostly picked it to talk about the huge reveal at the end of 5.2's story. Also, I'm sorry for not putting out a video last month. I might try to make a bonus video to put out between now and my next Lore of Eorzea video, but I make no promises. As a friendly reminder, I do stream weekly, or at least try to. Last video I said I streamed on Saturdays, but then I got a new job, so I really don't have a set time for streams right now. Still, I try to make stream announcements a day or two in advance on my Twitter. Once again, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/SolidXarch or on Twitter at theSolidXarch, and the links are in the description below. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or other feedback, please be sure to leave it in the comments below, and be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Also, if you want more lore content, be sure to subscribe. With that being said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.